Hey guys, this is Cody. I'm at SALT19 here with Rachel. I just wanted to give you a little overview of what they did at the conference, creatively, what they did technically. But right now we're going to talk a little bit about the story and a little bit more than that. So, Rachel, what is your role here?
Yeah, so I am the creative director here at SALT19. So I really oversee, the biggest thing is the opener, because what I found with conferences is that if we can get people in day one, minute one, that's how we really just set us up for success and keep going from there. So for the opener this year, for the theme, we're really exploring the theme of Esther and influence for such a time as this. Step into your royal calling. So what we decided to do for the opener this year is take a journey. And first we unpack the story of Esther and how she rose up to save her people and got out of her comfort zone to risk everything to do that and use her influence. Then we fast forwarded into the story of Gutenberg developing the world's first movable type printing press. And this allowed scripture to be available to the masses and people to really just dig into God's word for themselves for the first times. And then we went to where are we today? And we live in a world that's engulfed in voices and stories coming at us from every direction. So what does the church do with that? So we really wanted to unpack that. So as you can see, this year, the set is everywhere. It's a 360 environment. And what we did was we partnered with our friends at L Acoustics to create a fully immersive experience. So they have this awesome surround sound on steroids experience that is unlike anything you have ever felt, to really just make the world feel like it is just coming in from every direction. So we wanted to build on that idea of voices and chaos and what really is influence. It's this buzzword that we just throw around, but we wanted to dig into it and unpack it. So where's the clarity in a world of connected voices and stories? We had notifications and Netflix clips and Google searches and everything popping in from every direction. We had extra actors popping in from every direction. We were throwing their voices to other sides of the room as they were walking through the house. The audio was tracking them. It was a phenomenal experience. And all of this went to where it finally broke the room. Which for me as a designer and as a technician was really cool, because it wasn't this theatrical, oh, all the lights turned off, it broke, but it was a full out like blue screen of death, audio buzz, like someone unplugged something that they weren't supposed to, the lights, there was one random strobing in the background, one was a gobo shake, like the motor broke, all the actors even reacted and they were like, what just happened? And because we're in this world and people think that the church in this world is losing its voice, but what we here at SALT believe is that now is the time that the church is going to rise up and use creativity as a conduit for people to receive the gospel. And so we need to step up and embrace our royal calling for such a time as this. So what we did here this year is we wanted to make this fully immersive experience. So the set comes into the room. We have not only a B stage, but a C stage and a D stage. We have audio throwing everywhere. We have kinetics flying in to create roofs and just make this really large room feel small and intimate. And we did that with lighting, with truss towers, with kinetics, and it's just been a really, really cool experience to see how this community has reacted to just a world that is engulfed in voices and stories, to find their story again, to find their calling, and to embrace the influence that they have as creatives, because that's how we're going to reach the world, because the world is primed to receive creativity right now. So let's just dive in and jump into it. So that's a little bit of what we did here at SALT19.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, being in here on the first day, it was really cool to be in that immersive experience and experience it from the inside. And as from someone that isn't part of SALT or part of your organization putting it together, it was cool to see it for the first time and to really feel like, yes, I'm being immersed in this. And there's chaos and there's noise sometimes, but then there's also like the silent moments. And we can be in the middle of it, and we can still have creativity, and we can still experience what God has for us.
And so what's actually really interesting about that is what's fascinating. So we're unpacking the story of Esther and influence. Esther is the only book of the Bible that doesn't mention God. Some people say Song of Solomon. It has Lord, but like
Yeah.
specifically, Esther's the only book, and I found that really intriguing.
Yeah.
That it doesn't mention God, yet God is woven throughout the entire story. So we actually ended with this line of, what if we believe God is who he says he is? And then we went back to some Hebrew words of God: El Elyon, El Shaddai, Jehovah Jireh,
Yeah.
Elohim, the creator God. And how with our art sometimes it doesn't necessarily always have to be a cross or, hey, this is about Jesus, for God to be woven through it. And that's how we reach the world, is we let our art be life to a yearning people.
That's awesome. Yeah. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting this on. Thank you for making it possible for us.
We love it.
Yeah.
We love investing in this community so much.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I'm with Patrick here at SALT. Could you talk about what your role is here?
This year for SALT19, I'm the production manager, and I started out as the stage manager, but some of the guys on our team wanted more experience, so I just handed that off and told them, I'm going to empower you to be the stage manager, but I will let you fall. I will not let you fail.
That's good.
And they've done an amazing job this year of taking care of it, to the point that the last couple of sessions I haven't even been on comm.
Sure. Can you explain the difference between a stage manager and a production manager?
So a stage manager manages basically talent, the stage, anything that hits the stage, from speaker tables to hosts to speakers, bands, any special guests, all of those things. And they're responsible for making sure that person is ready, mic'd up, and
Yeah.
The goal of a stage manager is to set whoever's up next up to succeed.
That's good. Yeah.
Give them the minimum amount of information they need, so that they're not trying to process new information as they take a stage. And as a production manager basically, the way I handle a production management situation is I will advance the show. So audio, video, lighting, make sure we have everything we need from a production standpoint, a production schedule, so that we hit our marks on the load in and the load out. Dotting I's, crossing T's. That's what production management is, making sure that all the right things are in all the right places at the right times, so that nothing gets hung up during load in or load out. Once we're done with load in, I typically hand it over to a producer or a show caller. And at that point, I'm just responsible for call times and break times or end times. So that's what I do as a production manager. It's challenging, it's fun, but I love what I do.
That's pretty sweet. And so we're at Long Hollow Baptist Church, correct? How much of the stuff that is here is theirs and was already here versus what you guys have brought in for SALT?
So the guys at Long Hollow, we started talking to them in May, and they were planning their fall series. And so they asked, hey, we know you guys are coming. We would love to partner on the stage design for both Long Hollow and for SALT. And when they threw their renderings in front of us, we were like, this is perfect, because
that's awesome.
For such a time as this, the logo had already been made. It was a lot of rectangles and squares. Their entire set was squares. And so we just ran with that theme. As you see the stage, everything you see on the stage was there. We did not provide anything up there. That was Long Hollow. We're using a lot of their in-house infrastructure. Their Resolume machine is running the LED. Their ProPresenter machine is running all the lyrics and all the 16:9 playback. We did bring in a lighting console. We brought in a Hog 4, I believe, because that's what our LD is more comfortable on. And yeah, I mean, we're using everything of Long Hollow's with the exception of their PA. And that's because L Acoustics has come alongside of us to partner to, they wanted to provide a system, a Lisa system, so that the church could experience it. And so they brought in a great group of people. Josh Michelle is leading that team, and It was amazing on load in because L Acoustics was on the stage hanging a PA, and we were out in the house putting up all the additions that we added to the Long Hollow set. So we took their squares, we took everything. We tried to make this room more intimate by creating a barrier between the doors and the seats. So there's an empty space, but as we started programming and getting rid of some of the house lights and stuff like that to make those areas darker, it really did consolidate the space. Took it from a 1,600 seat auditorium to a 800, 900 seat space. So we really kind of consolidated that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So is this speaker right here from L Acoustics?
Yes, that is an L Acoustics.
And these were what was brought in to create that like 3D immersive.
Yeah,
experience.
the immersive audio experience that everyone's experienced here at SALT19.
That's pretty
They
awesome.
also brought in a front of house console because the way that, and a camera system, a Blacktrax camera system that we put sensors on speakers so that as they move across the stage, the audio follows. So if they go to the left, it's coming out of the left side of the PA.
Cool.
They go to the right, it's coming out of the right side of the PA. They
There's
stay
so many
center.
applications.
It's dope.
All right. So what are you guys using ProPresenter for here? You said lyrics.
We're using lyrics and 16:9 playback.
Okay.
Anything that hits the side screens or the plasma that speakers are using for presentations comes out of ProPresenter.
And then I saw a Mac down there using ProPresenter. Is that just controlling like clocks for like stage display type stuff?
It is stage display. It's clocks and notes, clocks and speaker notes for presenters, and for the notes are mainly for hosts. So hey, we need to stall, we need to get ahead. We're running behind. Hey, don't forget about these announcements. So we use that to communicate as opposed to an IFB or an in-ear with hosts.
Yeah, that's good. And then do you know like roughly how many lights are being used? Because
a total number, I do not.
There's a ton. What I think is really cool is you can see more over here. They've got lights going up the side, around, and behind people. In a lot of churches, you got just, behind shining down, and then you have just on stage. But it's really immersive having it from the side, and just experiencing that is super cool.
And we had designed that before we even knew that L Acoustics was going to be a part of that. We wanted to create that intimate spot because the morning sessions with Matt Marr and the band, we wanted them in the center of the room on a satellite stage. So in order to make that feel more intimate than the night sessions with Chris McClarney and his band. Chris McClarney from Jesus Culture, just a big sound, whereas Marr is, likes to take it more acoustic vibe and settled. We wanted to create a ceiling. And so we put in some, you can't really see them, but there's some kinetics motors provided by Mod Scenes that we used, and we drop in some squares about 7 feet off of the satellite stage to really give you a feel of a small room.
Yeah.
But then take all of the lighting, all the movers around the room, pump this place full of haze, and then shoot them over the top. So you have a faux ceiling, and it creates a much more intimate space for people to worship and look upward, go vertical rather than horizontal.
Yeah, and that I thought it was super cool when that the worship team was there in the middle. You had the lights shining in from above, creating that atmosphere where you are here in an intimate space. And even though there's 800 people or whatever in a room, you still feel like it's small, and that's really cool as someone worshiping. I mean, being able to be in that experience.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Even
that was the goal. I mean, the vision behind it. And to hear you say that and hear so many other attendees, it's
right. And I think there's even applications for that outside of the church world. Like you could definitely
absolutely.
do concerts like that and have really cool experiences for bands.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is really cool. Maybe we can look at the stage a little bit. But thanks for all this information about what production you guys were doing and why you're doing it, and talking through it a little bit.
My pleasure.